So good afternoon, and once again, welcome to today's Maniac Talk. I'm very pleased today to welcome today's speaker, who is a colleague and a close friend of mine, Charles Ichoku, who is now the Assistant Lab Chief, Climate and Radiation Lab here at NASA Goddard. So let's give him a congratulations. There is a Nigerian proverb. It's attributed to Yoruba tribe, which says that however far a stream flows, it never forgets its source. However far a stream flows, it never forgets its source. Otherwise, it will dry up. Time and distance can take us in new directions, but that doesn't change where we started. Charles' journey starts in Nigeria, in West Africa. His journey to NASA was probably improbable. Consider this. In July 1969, as NASA was making history by landing the first man on the moon, his country was engulfed in a civil war that lasted for 3 years, from about 1967 to 1970. He was then a small boy, about 10 years old, and had no place that he could call home. It's hard to fight your dreams when bombs are raining from the sky every day and you are faced with famine and starvation from the war. Images of the Civil War, also known as the Biafran War, came to life very recently in a book written by a Nigerian. His name is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and the title of the book is Half of the Yellow Sun, and it was also recently made into a movie. So if you want to know more about this war, it's available. So as he was growing up, Charles witnessed firsthand how farmers and pastoralists in Africa use fires to clear the fields before cultivation, burn the plant residue after harvest, and clear dead plants to make way for new ones. He's going to highlight some of his work based on work he's doing on fires based on satellite observations. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, help me welcome our speaker, Charles Ichoku.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Charles, for this. Actually, you are the one that you need the applause because of the way you've established this series, and I've been handling it so well. So thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure, and thank you everybody for coming. It's my pleasure to, we scientists typically, we always pursue the next best thing. We never think about thinking back to where we came from and things like that. So this was really not an easy, I've given a few talks. This was not an easy talk to prepare. I had to go down memory lane to try to fish out some things that I'd forgotten. So first of all, when you invited me to give this talk, I went on the web and I Googled journey. So I wanted to get a picture on the internet that kind of captures what I wanted to talk about. This was what I came upon. It's hard. I was thinking about how do I put all this together. I know in my life there is a journey, there is a start, there is a goal, and there are continents, there are planes and different things, there are mentors and everything. So how do you align all of this to make a coherent story? So that's what I'm going to talk about. What I did was to lay out, thankfully, my life and my journey, my profession, can be kind of fairly grouped into decades. So I put a timeline over here so that I kind of color-coded it so that when I'm talking and different epochs in my journey will be shown with the background of different colors. So I used this rainbow color. If you remember, some of you who did elementary physics in school, you remember the Roy G. Biv. From red to this. So that's how I put it there. So when I'm talking about a particular time, you will see the time I'm talking about. Now, the outline of my talk will be, I'll talk about growing up and the Biafra War that Charles mentioned. Then I'll talk about my teenage years and grade school, then college and undergraduate and graduate studies, postdoctoral experience in France, Israel, and Germany. And I'll talk about coming here to Goddard, the phase 1 and the phase 2. And then finally, I'll kind of project where I'm going. All right. So I was born in Nigeria, as he mentioned, toward the end of 1958. So that's how it was aligned. I was born in a place called Zaria. You see it here. And my parents, my dad was a successful businessman in the construction industry. And my mom was a homemaker. And my dad, neither of them actually went to school as such. My dad hardly finished 3rd grade. My mom didn't go to school at all. So, but we were doing well. He was really doing well. This is my earliest picture that I could find. If any one of you thinks that I'm the one on the left, please raise your hand. If you think I'm the one in the middle, raise your hand. You're all right. How is that? Does it mean I haven't changed or anything? Okay, so this is it. So my mom, my dad first had a wife, had 2 children, a boy and a girl, and his wife passed away before he married my mom. So my mom was much younger than my dad. So these were the first 3 from my mom, Emeka, Mary, and Charles. Okay, so we were living well, and then in late 1960s, some political issues started, whereby people from this region of Nigeria, they started killing such people here in the north, and we lived here. This region that is roughly outlined in this parallelogram is the area called Biafra. So those people decided that, okay, we will succeed and become an independent nation. And so we had to move from where we lived to this part of the world where we come from. By the way, Nawfia, that word in my title, is my ancestral hometown. That's where my ancestry can be traced to the very first man that established the town. So we remember that. Some people who are at home remember who was whose father and whose father and whose father until like several centuries ago. So we had to come down here. First we took the train and came down, and our hometown is somewhere here. If I blow up this area, this is what you get. So this image, you can estimate that this measures about 20 miles across. This is my hometown here. So we came back here. How did we come back? It was not a one-step affair. First, my dad sent us home, my mom and the children. And we came down home, we sat there. Those were not the days of phone calls when you picked up the phone to see whether he's doing well. So we didn't know how he was doing. He was there. We didn't know what was going on. So then, thankfully, one day he showed up at home, alone and with nothing. So he told the story of, he went to church on a Sunday morning, and one of his gardeners, who was very faithful to him, came to the church and told him, don't go back home, they're waiting to kill you. So if you know anything, just flee. So he fled. He came back with nothing. And we were there. So we were living there because things were a little bit difficult. My dad had a younger half-brother who had a small house at home with 3 rooms. 3 rooms, that's it. And so one of the rooms, he lived with his wife. One of the rooms, his mother lived. The middle room, his children lived. So he had to move his children to his own room so that we can stay in that middle room. With 6 children, my parents and 6 children will live there. So, you know, they figured out maybe they can send us to relatives. So the boys were sent to different relatives. I was first sent to my mother's youngest sister, who was married at that time and lived in a city a little bit far away, about 100 miles from our home. So I went there, I lived with them for a while, and her husband's mother lived in their own village and needed some help. So she sent me to go and stay with the mother of her husband in the village. So I was there for a while, helping the mother and everything with domestic things. And eventually, My older half-sister, who was already married in the north, had her own family, and their hometown is here. So she needed domestic help. So I was pulled from my mother's sister's husband's mother's home to come and stay with my older sister because she had her own family and needed help. So I was like the nanny. I actually took care of the children. I kind of hesitate to say this, but now in this modern day, you have children, you use a diaper, you throw it away. Those days, what you call now your hand towel is what you use for that. And I washed every bit of that every single day, to take care of the children. So I was there, and then the war came down to the Biafran area in 1967. So my family had to flee. First, they went to a distant place, and they had nothing. They were, working hand labor for people, for farmers, and were getting paid in food and things like that. They spent quite a while there. And after a while, a man, your family, you cannot do anything. So my dad went away to seek greener pastures. So he came to look for us to find his older daughter and me, where we lived, right here. So he walked several days and arrived there, and we were there with him. And after a while, you couldn't make a phone call to tell your family I'm doing okay or whatever. So my family, my mom and the other children didn't know what to do, so they sent my oldest brother to come and find my dad. So he took off, several days of walking, and then finally he landed here and found us. And then he went back and brought my mother and the other children back to here, to a former high school that we used at that time as a refugee camp. So we were at this refugee camp here. So at that time, you couldn't live in areas that were accessible. All of this was occupied by troops from the north. And so we were safe to live here. But even then, from the routes, the military from the Nigerian forces could send their shelling and so on and so forth. So most times we would be hiding. This was the way we were. This is not my picture. I just downloaded this from the internet. I did my best to avoid putting up pictures that are shocking, so that, but this is basically the way we were as children. We ate anything that crawled. Everything we could lay our hands on, we ate. So anyway, as Charles mentioned, there's a movie. And this was actually the Biafran flag. So there's a movie that was written, a book written and was turned into a movie recently. It's called The Half of a Yellow Sun. I've seen the movie, I've read the book. So we were like that, trying to survive. And then in 1970, the war ended. So we had to return to my hometown, from here to my hometown. Okay. So now I've blown up this map. This is a larger region that measures about 100 miles by 100 miles, so that you can see. So we returned back here. When we returned, we went back to school. I was in the elementary school. For 3 years, no schooling. I was in elementary 3 before we left, before I had to be sent to my relatives, and then we left. And then when we came back, we went back to the elementary school. And so, good thing they said, okay, those who were in this grade, you move up to the next grade. So I would move to elementary 4. And now, we were there, nothing. So remember, when we were chased out of the north, we had a very nice, big place, a house, nice house. So my father, not knowing what to do, had to go back to Zaria to claim back his house, which were then treated as abandoned property. All of the houses that were left, the people who were from around there occupied the houses. So if you went back to claim it, you were putting your life at risk. But he couldn't do anything. So he went back and went to court, spent almost 2 years there, at the risk of his life. And we did not have any news of anything, whether he was alive or dead. So we were there waiting, and thankfully one day he showed up. He came back. He was able to get back the house, sold it, and came back with some real money. Okay, so that was good. So then the first order of business, my sister, my older sister Mary, whom you saw in the first picture, had completed elementary school, but couldn't go into secondary school. So she was at home, and I was at home during that period of, I was still in school. I was finishing elementary school. What we did at that time, during those 2 years was, to survive, was to help with the farm. But also, sometimes when our mother had products from the farm, we took it and went to a town here to sell it, a distance of about 5 miles. And other times when we don't have products to sell, we would walk up there 5 miles, go to the stream to fetch water 2 miles away, take it back to the market and sold it to people who were there. So we did that several times after school, and particularly during the weekend, we did that to survive during those, because there was nothing. After the war, people who, well, anyway, so we continued doing that, and my dad came back. Great. So the first thing, he wanted to find a school, secondary school for my sister to attend. So since I wasn't doing too badly in school either, so he took me along. So he found a secondary school for both of us in this city here. So I was there for the first year. I forgot what grade to equate it to. So anyways, so the very next year, he went to find another school for me here, Onisha, not too far away, about 20 miles away. A good thing to say is that this school, it's a very high quality school, still is today. That was a very good thing. It's a boarding school. Most schools at that time were boarding schools. So this school, CKC Onisha, in 1977 won the World Junior World Cup series, a soccer series in Dublin, Ireland. And in 2014, I heard it was ranked the top school in Nigeria. So it's really a very good school. So I was happy and fortunate to be in that school. Well, I finished in 1976. That's when I finished high school. The way it went, because it's almost not possible to finish in such a short time. The thing is that during that time, the school years ran from January to December. So that very year, 1973, they changed the school year, the way that the school year went. So then they changed it from, like it is here now, from summer to summer. So we did the second year of secondary school, I did it for about 6 months, and then I went to the next school and the next class and so on until I graduated in 1976, which was very good. So after that, I have to say this. After my dad came back with the money, he used that money to establish businesses that could run around the area and put in his relatives, nephews and nieces and so on, to run these things, like timber, poultry farming, transportation and so on. And this whole money just vanished within a few years. So my dad is, we usually woke up, our typical time to wake up in the morning was around maybe between 5 and 6. But anytime he wanted to tell us something serious, he would wake us up around 4 a.m. early in the day when everything is still quiet. So he woke me up one day and said, I know you have done well, but there is no money to send you to the university. So what I suggest is for you to go and go to teaching. At that time, they were training teachers for free, or join the police force. But I set my heart on going to college. So I thought, okay, well, that's good. I'll do my best. So anyways, I went to teach here. Here in a high school, I was teaching math and physics. And during that year, I was taking entrance examinations to universities. And after a while, an uncle, a relative of ours in a town here, Enugu, found me a job in the bank. So I left that and went to work in the bank while I was still continuing to take my entrance examinations. Thankfully, I got accepted in all of those colleges. So I chose to go to this one, to the one that's located in that same city, this one, the University of Nigeria, Enugu campus. This is actually the area, quadrangle, that I was for 5 years, actually longer than that. This is a pair of buildings, this one, and another one that's on this side where our department was located on the ground floor. This is the library building. And so I was there, not sure of how I would finish college, but at least I saved enough money to get into college. So thankfully, after my first year, you know how things happen, I got awarded a merit award. This is an award, a kind of scholarship that the federal Nigerian government gave to students that did well. So that saved me, so I had, it was easy for me to just complete college without any problem. It was in that first year in college that I got to hear for the first time about NASA. Because our head of department at the time, Prof. Fubara, was said to, we heard it amongst the students that he did some NASA projects. He worked for NASA somehow. So I was searching the web, and I actually found a report he did. He was working for Battelle at some point, and they wrote this report. And so he was the head of the department. So what I thought at that time was how cool it would be to work for NASA. But I didn't think I would ever do that. No way. So anyway, so I was studying there for the 5 years. During that time, I already made up my mind that I'll be working while studying, tutoring, teaching, doing broadcasting and things like that, and working every summer. So I did it. So I was kind of saving money while in college, even though I had the scholarship to finish. So we did that, and after you graduate, there is a Nigerian National Youth Service Corps. It's like a Peace Corps. They send you to go and serve somewhere for a year. So I did that for a year, and after that, the department was starting its graduate program. So some of us applied, and I was accepted to go there as a graduate assistant while teaching and starting my master's program, which I did for a while. And in 1987, I got my master's in January of 1987. You might wonder, how is it that you start a master's program in 1983 and go all the way to 1987 to finish it? A master's should normally take 2 years, isn't it? Okay, now imagine this, especially some of these young people. So my research period was from about 1984 to 1986. So you remember this? Okay, so we were on campus doing your programming, Fortran programming, Fortran 4 at that time. And you will do that. Then we will go to the Ministry of Statistics where they had this machine. We didn't have it on campus to type these cards, the punch cards. So this card, each of these cards represents one line of code. Then you had to compile it very well, make sure you do not change their places. And then, thankfully, because of the money I saved, I was able to buy my first car, which was a used Beetle, Volkswagen Beetle. So I drove about 76 miles from here, the campus where I was, to the main campus to give it to them in the window to run in the IBM. I think it was IBM 370 or something like that, which I never saw with my eyes. You give it through the window, and then they put it in line and say, okay, we'll run it, come back next week and check. There was no way for you to make a call and say, have you done it? So the next week you will go there, they'll tell you, well, there was a lot of power outage, and we couldn't run it. So then you drove back. So we did this, and then after they run it, they print out this printout, and that's where you see your errors. You went back, you corrected your errors, you went to the ministry, you punched the cards again, inserted it where it belonged, then you drove back and submitted again. So it took so long. Now, these days, if you want to do something, you just do everything on your laptop. That wasn't the case at that time. So we did that, and after I got my master's, I was trying to say, what about PhD? What am I going to do? I was very fortunate. One day, I went to the bulletin board and saw an announcement that the French government wanted to give scholarships to go to France and pursue PhD. So to do that, you had to go to the French Cultural Center in the same city where I was. So myself and a friend, we went there. We saw the French Cultural Center representative and asked him, how are we going to qualify for this? There were some French Peace Corps people who were serving at various universities in Nigeria. So he will ask you, what field do you want to do your PhD in out of the set of fields where they wanted to support us? And I selected, out of what I had, I selected geology. And my friend selected water resources. So he told us, okay, for you, go to the University of Maiduguri, where you meet the French Peace Corps representative who will interview you. For me, go to the University of Jos, where I'll meet the person who's the expert in geology. So, and the deadline was coming very quickly. And I thought, there's no way I can do this. So we didn't go. So now, another day, my friend came back to me and said, I saw that French Cultural Center representative. He told me that the deadline had been extended so that we could still go. And he told me that he was going. And his own distance was further away than my own distance. So he got ready and went. And I got ready and went to my own. And when I got there, I arrived. And remember, still remember, it's not the epoch of cell phones or even land phones. You just showed up. I showed up there, and the professor was in the field with his students, was not there. So they told me, sorry, he's not there. So I was thinking, what am I going to do? I was standing there in front of the faculty just thinking, okay, I came all this way, and you traveled overnight by bus. I came all this way, what am I going to do? Then behold, the man showed up. He forgot something that he came to pick up. And I went to him and said, I came to apply for this scholarship. So he said, I'm in the field and I'm going back right now. Then somehow he thought again and he said, okay, go and write a proposal of what you want to do. Bring it to me today. So I went and borrowed a paper and pen and went into one of the classrooms, sat down and wrote a proposal of what I was going to do there. It's a short proposal, like 2 or 3 pages, not too long. So I took it to a typist in the office, paid her a little money, and she typed it up for me, and I gave it to him. And he said, okay, good. I'll send it up along with your certificates and everything to the French embassy, and then you will hear from them. So I did that, and the next day, I took a bus again overnight and went back home, and I forgot about it. So one day, I think it was October the 2nd of that year, 1987, I got this letter. Congratulations, you have been awarded a 5-year PhD scholarship in France. You had to report in France by the 12th of October. Yeah, because those days, the letters took time to travel. The letter was sent from Lagos. It may have taken 2 weeks to get to me, but I had 10 days to get ready and go. So I didn't waste time. I simply just, I was living in a 3-bedroom apartment. I had all these things, so I simply just gave away some things to members, friends, and family and everything. Told the landlord I'm leaving everything. And then I went to Lagos to pick up the visa and everything. I was ready. This was my birthday, the 11th of October, 1987. I was at the airport on my way to fly to France. So this was me, my dad, my mom, my sister Mary, and other members of family. This was the uncle I told you about who had those 3 rooms that we lived in the middle room. So many of the people on this picture are no longer alive today, And this was the very last day I saw my dad, even though we exchanged letters a few days, a few times. But within the next 2 years, he passed away. I saw my mom again, but later on she also passed away. My sister also has passed away. My uncle also has passed away. It's been a while. So this is France. So I arrived in France on October the 13th. So, so it took me only 10 days to get ready and get there. And I found that we're going to study French, the French language in Nancy, which is located here. So I took the train and went to Nancy and I reported there. I realized that I was the first of 5 other Nigerians got the same scholarship like me. So we were supposed to be in the French language program altogether. So that's what we did, and I was the first to arrive. Actually, I don't know what happened to the others. It took about 2 weeks for the rest of them to come, but I didn't want to miss my opportunity, so I got ready and went there on time, whatever it took. So they were very good to us. So during that year, we studied French. they also sent some professors to teach us math and sciences in French so we can grasp the language of the science. And they also assigned us to labs to do practical work with the people in different labs. So we did very well, and they took us on a 2-week trip throughout France. They got a minibus to drive us around. So we really had a lot of fun. So this was us, the 6 of us. This was me here. I think this was during that trip we made around the country. And so during the time I was here in Nancy, I got in contact, they put us in contact with our professors. They were the ones that found the universities and faculties where we were going to pursue our PhD. So I got in touch with my professor, and he recommended that I go and do a professional master's at Toulouse, southern France. The French National Space Agency has a very big center there. And next door to that was this training program that they co-organized with other organizations. So I spent the year there. After that, I had to go back to Paris, to the actual university, Pierre and Marie Curie, the largest science university in France. And that's where I spent the next years to do my PhD. This was my professor, Professor Korovitz, a fine man. You know, he treated me very, very well. He accepted me and showed me the ropes. This man was another scientist in that lab, Jean-Francois Parot. He was also working. Remember, those days also, even though things had improved with respect to computing, we had workstations. You did not have your own desktop. We had workstations. So in the lab, we had 4. So we shared it. You came in, you were working. Somebody else wants to work, you left, and somebody else worked. So this man, Jean-Francois, was working there. So we were always meeting there in the lab. After a while, he took a liking to what I was doing, and he helped me a lot. What I found is that everywhere I go, there is at least one person that took care of my welfare. I don't know why. You know, they just simply decided, out of the goodness of their heart, they paid attention to what I was doing well and were helping me. This was the man, Jean-Paul Roudon. He really did a lot for me. I don't have time to talk about. So the first research we did was to extract drainage channel networks from digital elevation models. We published this in Water Resources Research in 1992. Then we did an algorithm to train classifying drainage channel networks. Through the patterns that they show, you can get to the landforms and other things about the geology of the place. So this was published in the Water Resources Research in 1994. Then we decided to computerize the construction of geological cross-sections. You know how geologists do, they plot cross-sections. And so we developed this program, and it was published in Computers and Geosciences in 1994. Then we went ahead and tried to use that to go to the subsurface and look at what the subsurface is, the groundwater and everything. We did other things, but I just wanted to show this one. So one day, we were working in the lab. My prof came in and said, okay, you've done well. Now write up and defend your dissertation. So I was very happy. In less than 3 months, because we'd already had a lot of papers published or accepted, put it together, wrote a synopsis, defended my thesis on the 29th of June of 1993. So this was my defense. This is my professor here. This is the Jean-Francois Parot, who was also helping me in the lab. So more recently, I was on visit on passage in France, and this is my professor and his wife. They welcomed me very well, took me to lunch and everything. In 2008, I was there again with my family. They took care of me again. Last year, I was going to visit, but it didn't quite fall well, so I couldn't go. So I'm still in touch with my professor. When I completed my PhD, my professor was doing his best to find me somewhere to work. So there were several things that happened. Maybe I should tell this story. You know, so one time the ELF company came, representatives from the company, the oil company. You know, what I did was relevant to them, so they came. And so he wanted me to meet them. So I was in the lab where many of us shared. And one of his new postdocs, he sent him to go and find Charles to come and talk with these people. So I was there all by myself. There were other people that were not there. He opened the door, he saw me, he went back and said, I didn't see Charles. he actually didn't know I was the one, because he could have imagined, how will this person be the one that he wants him to come and talk to Elf? So later in the day, my prof asked me, they came, and I was waiting for you. I sent somebody to find you. They couldn't find you. I said, I was there. I saw him when he opened the door. He didn't say anything to me. He went back. So that was passed. So anyway, so my prof was trying to organize things for me. So he got in contact with a colleague in Israel, a geologist in Israel, and they organized for me to do a postdoc there. This was my mentor in Israel, Aaron Kanieli. You'll hear about him again as we go along. So the colleague that my prof contacted was Yaakov Arkin, who was the Geological Survey of Israel. So he contacted Aaron, who was a professor at the Desert Research Institute. And so they helped me to get a postdoc position, a 2-year postdoc position. So I told you that anywhere I go, there is at least somebody who is intent on helping me. This was the guy, Hendrik Bruins. So they helped me very, very well. He and his family. We still communicate today. And so the work we did in Israel was first to try to derive channel networks from digital satellite imagery like Landsat, Spot, and so on and so forth. And we published this in 1996 in the International Journal of Remote Sensing. And another time, next we did the fractals to try to say, you have different channel networks, which one is optimal? So we did fractal analysis and published this in the Water Resources Research in 1996. And again, we started looking at the geology of the Jordan Rift Valley. So many things happening there, the tectonics and everything. And we did radar interferometry. And this was published in 1998. During that time, when the 2 years were very close to ending, 2 things happened. First of all, we submitted a proposal to be funded so we can continue research. While we were waiting for the proposal, I was applying to different institutions for faculty position, especially US universities. And one time, the Technion Institute of Technology in Israel advertised a position. So I applied. They invited me for an interview. I went there. After I talked with them, they said, okay, start coming as an adjunct for now. So I agreed. So I was going as an adjunct. And thankfully, our proposal was funded. So we were able to do more work. Another thing that happened was that a professor showed up from Germany to conduct measurements of aerosols in Israel. So I was there, so I participated fully in doing that. So during that time, anyway, so eventually he invited me to come to Germany to work with him in analyzing the data we collected. And at the same time, the Technion gave me the position, full-time position. But it took a long time. The Ministry of Interior could not give me the work permit to actually start doing the work. So when he invited me to Germany, I said, no, thank you. I appreciate it, but I have a more permanent position here. So after I waited for a long time, this work permit was not coming through. So then I wrote to him again and said, is your offer still open? He said, yes. I packed my things, sent it across, and then we moved. Just before we moved, the ministry said, please come and take the residence permit. So I went. Actually, it was the university that pestered them, and they finally said, okay. So we went there, they gave it to me, but I had already moved my stuff to Germany, so I couldn't stay. So we left. And we were there. So the professor that came to do the measurements, some of you know him, Andy Andre, he's a very accomplished professor. So I went there to work with him. And again, this man, Frank Maxner, was the good faith man that really helped me to adapt with my family, this time with my family. We were in Israel together and we came to Germany. So he did everything. He helped us a lot. It was the same location that I came across Paul Crutzen. He didn't know me. He still probably doesn't know me. But I saw him in the hallways all the time. I didn't know, when I first saw him, I didn't know he was a Nobel laureate. So he always stopped to greet me. And we always greeted. So that was very good. It was during that time that I met this young man, You know, the office that I occupied was shared by several people. It's Charles Gatebe, if you were wondering. So I walked into the office, and I saw a young African man sitting there. I say, "Hi, I'm Charles." He said, "I'm Charles, too." I said, "Really?" So he came. He was at the last leg of his PhD, so he came there to do his, you know, finish up his work and everything. So that was when we became friends. And even before we came here, he already knew he was coming to do a postdoc here. I didn't know, and I'll tell you how things happened. Anyway, when we were there, we were able to analyze the data that we collected in Israel and published this paper finally in 1999. So then I came here. How did I get here? Okay, so you remember my mentor in Israel. In 1998, he was doing his sabbatical here. So then, you know, I was still applying, doing all sorts of things. Where would I get a faculty position? And the EOS program started. And so one day he wrote me an email and said, "Have you got a permanent job yet? If not, they are hiring here." So I said, "Who should I write to?" He said, "Write to Yoram." So I sent an email to Yoram. And then, behold, he responded he was willing to hire me. So they arranged through SSAI, and I was hired, and I landed here in 1998. So it was a wonderful group that I came to work with. This is Yoram. Unfortunately, he left us 10 years ago. And, but the rest of us are here. You'll see many of us. This is me. This is Vanderlei Martins, Rich, Clydeman, Ron Lee, Shanna, and Alan Chu, Rob Levy, or Lorraine, Marcia. They were so kind to me. I actually was a few days here. I needed to get my driver's license, and I used Rob's car to get my driver's license. I used it to go and do the test. You know, you can imagine you were here only a few days. But the person who actually was that person who took care of me here was Lorraine. She's sitting right here. I really appreciate it. You know, she took care of me for a long time. Even before I could get my own research funding, he was supporting me after Yoram left. So, so when I came here was about when the first IPCC, International Panel on Climate Change, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report came out about climate. And if you see here, this is about aerosols. The scientific level of understanding was very, very low at that time. So my task was to help develop the validation scheme for retrieval of aerosol from MODIS. So we started this method of doing it. At that time, still now, there are a lot of measurements from the ground, from the Aeronet system. So we developed a way to collocate so that they fit very well. And we found in the initial retrieval of aerosols from MODIS, some parameterizations were not optimal based on this analysis we did. And we were able to adjust them. And then the next release of MODIS aerosol was great and has continued to be and has been serving the community so well for so many years. Even when, this is from Terra, this is from Aqua. When Aqua was launched with the same MODIS, this system helped us to make sure that they agreed. And you can see here that they actually agree. When they measure together, they agree. When they don't measure together, they line up very well. So this is what we did. And the next IPCC report, with the work we did and the work that others did, the IPCC, the science benefited from all of this. And there was improvement in the knowledge of aerosols. So the next, so we decided to put the aerosol measurements from different satellite systems together. And so at that time, Maxim came on board to help us work on this. And we got a lot of collaborations from many, many scientists. And I need to highlight the role that Greg Leptuk played in that. He was very, very supportive. And of course, unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. But we continued that work. And this is the way we co-located all of those aerosol retrievals from various satellite sensors and conducted a very detailed analysis. All of this is published. So if you need information, you can ask me later. They are all published. So we know which one is performing well where. And we have all the data online where people can conduct the analysis themselves. And it's in the Giovanni system. We are the first to put in point data in the Giovanni, which usually has gridded data. The next thing, my next assignment here since I came was to work on biomass burning. It started because Yoram pioneered the concept of remote sensing of fire radiative power of fires. And Luke Ellison, I think he's here now. I see him, yes. So he came on board to help with this at a certain stage. So he came first as an intern, student intern in 2005, and then went back to graduate and work. And then in 2009, he has been here since helping out big time. What about fires that makes us to study it? This image for scale is about 2,000 kilometers across. Okay, this was a fire that was burning in 2004. What does fire do that make us to be interested? They disturb the ecosystem, life and property. They affect the air quality, the smoke that they release. Gases and aerosols affect the air quality. When they interact with clouds, they change the properties and can affect the precipitation capability of the clouds. When they are over dark surfaces, they can help cool the surface. And when they're over bright surfaces, they do the opposite. And they get deposited, the black carbon from smoke can get deposited in smoke and ice and accelerate the melting. So all of these things make us to study fires. And the LANS website shows images, 10-day images of where the fires are. You can go to the LANS website and find some of these. This is for the last 10 days. But I tried at some point to just plot all Moody's detections of fires without anything else for a whole year. And this is, you can plot the map of the world with that. Of course, the fire does not carpet the entire world, but because of the scale of plotting, you see this. But anyway, this is important just to say that fires contribute about 40% of black carbon and about 25% of carbon dioxide to global emissions and many other things. I have to rush through this and let you know that traditionally, there's a way that they calculate the emissions from fires. But we decided to use a revolutionary approach based on the fire radiative power that we were working with. And we developed a way to be able to simply get coefficients that when the satellite observes the fire radiative power, you simply multiply and you get the emission rates. That's what we did. That's what this is showing. And this is the process that we used to develop it. But what I wanted to say is that we're the first to have a gridded product of emission factors for fires. One that uses only the direct satellite measurements, and one that is truly near real time. We have tested the product compared with others and compared with satellite. This is simply to show that the product is doing well. We also try to validate. This was one of the occasions we went to the field. And this we were pointing at the satellite, Veer satellite, as it was coming across when we were measuring on the ground. So we do have fun too, okay? So another thing that is near and dear to my heart is interdisciplinary research in Africa. Luke has been here since that time and has been helping out big time. I don't have time to go through all detail, but I'll just start by saying this was how we started. I came upon this publication with, this is the rain band in the early pre-industrial times. This is the rain band around now. And many, many rivers have dried and things like that. So I saw this and I thought, I'm going to do something. I'm a scientist. I'm an earth scientist. I can do something about it. So we developed a proposal to work on that and try to see what's going on. Basically, okay, this is showing the precipitation trend for the last 50 years. And we see that this region is drying, has been drying progressively since that time. Some of the reasons that people gave and their publications for why this is happening are different things. But nobody had looked at fires because this is what is detected just in one overpass of Veers. Everything is, these are fire detections. So we decided to do this research. So this is the way we we have been doing it. We carried out looking at various aspects of biomass burning in that region. And we give presentations, and we have a special issue where we have published some of our results in the environmental research letters. So you can get more information if you're interested in seeing what we have been doing. This is the picture of the team of people doing this work at various times. We have annual workshops to do various things. We also interact with the people in Africa. This is when the Lake Chad Basin Commission representatives visited us here last year. And this is when we visited the WASCAL, an organization that is responsible for the climate of West Africa. So we were there earlier this year and took these pictures. Some other experiences is I had is outreach and education. This is where we were giving talks to students. I also participated in GLOBE. The GLOBE is an organization that puts science into the great schools. We were able to help develop their climate research campaign curriculum. And I was there. I worked with Charles Gatebe and Bob Cahalan at that time to do that. And we put some podcasts and things like that and the program, everything that they're using. So I also worked at NASA headquarters, did a few things there. And then when I came back, Bob Cahalan, who was the lab chief at that time, was also the project scientist of SOURCE and THESIS. So he appointed me the deputy project scientist for THESIS. THESIS simply is still to be launched. It will continue the measurement of solar irradiance reaching the Earth, which helps to provide information for quantifying what's happening to climate. Some of my future plans, I hope to continue to refine the study of fires and emissions. I also hope to promote the use of science in Africa, especially in West and Central Africa. And one of my secret ambitions is to be able to facilitate the launching of a high-resolution geostationary satellite over Africa, a resource that will be shared by all of the countries there who will have ownership. So I don't know how that will be done, but anyway, I will acknowledge that I've been here, I've interacted with many people, I've got a lot of help. I cannot thank everybody individually, but I wanted to mention a few, just a few people. Here is for this Earth Science Division. A lot of people have been of great help to me. The leadership, I wanted to thank some people who have taken specific actions that benefited my career and life. Franco Inadu was the chief of the director of Earth Sciences. Upon the recommendation of Yoram, he hired me as a civil servant. Yoram recommended this in 2001. I was finally hired in 2008. It was a long process. It was not easy, but he kept his promise and delivered. Shahid Habib was the chief of the applied sciences here. He gave me so many good opportunities, which I don't have time to say. Bob Cahalan was actually the one who hired me upon the direction of Franco and gave me several opportunities. Lazarus Oriopoulos, who is our current lab chief, has been very supportive. He, as you heard Charles mention last week, he named me his deputy, so which is very good. I also wanted to talk about a few people at headquarters who have been very supportive. Lawrence Friedel of Applied Sciences gave me the first seed money for the fire research. Phil DeCola, Gary Gutman, Hal Merrin, Jack Kay. I cannot finish without talking about my family, because I have a great and excellent family. My children are excellent, but my wife is the best. You know, she's sitting right here in front, actually. She has done, she is so beautiful and kind, and she has made so many sacrifices for the children and for me, and continues to do so, and I'm really grateful. And this year, I had my first graduate in my family. That's my first daughter, Chioma, who's sitting here. She graduated from Virginia Tech. So it was a happy occasion. Here, the other two couldn't be here because they had other engagements. Well, I also benefited from people that I don't know, that I may never meet, through their books. And I've read a few books. Some of the things, some of the information, some of the quotes that I've read are my favorite, and there are many, many thousands of them, are very simple. They're very simple, but profound. To whom much is given, much is expected. These are the ones that I use, and I use many of them more. The one who is unwilling to work shall not eat. A person can do nothing better than to eat and to drink and find satisfaction in their labor. So we need to do good work to find satisfaction in what we do. Enjoy life with your wife whom you love. Yes, I do enjoy life with my wife. And I hope to continue to do that for many, many years to come. In interacting with people, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Rejoice, always. I'll say that again, rejoice. I put something here so we can come back to that. The wisdom, because here I said wisdom. Wisdom is the fear of something, and to shun evil is understanding. All of these quotes come from the same book. Who can guess what book that is? Somebody. Exactly. The Bible. And it's not only science that has citations, the Bible has citations too. So I've put on the citations here. And the word that's been missing here is the Lord. And that is why I am always also learning to give thanks to the Lord, because he has been good to me. If you wonder why, if you wake up in the morning and your whole body still responds to you, you get ready and go to work, and you still have one of the best jobs in the world, and you go back home and you still have one of the best families in the world, what else do you need to be happy? I rest my case. Rich.
Charles, you didn't tell us when in the process you had an art.
Oh man, that's another story. It could take a whole hour. Yeah, no need to start because it's a long story. But you know, one thing I have to say though is that when I was in college, I was praying, really praying day in, day out for God to give me the best wife until I met her, and it took over 10 years. And he gave me better than I asked for. That's all I can say for now.
Joe, you have a question?
Okay. No, jokes are allowed. That's okay.
How come it didn't say 2030?
2030, my career, you know, my actual active career will stop somewhere in the 2020s. If I still live in the 2030s, I'll just enjoy life. I'll just sit like this on the beach and relax.
Okay, so with that, let's thank Charles one more time.
Thank you.